Hello, my name is Ari Gonzalez. If you don't know me, I do management, I do education and development for independent artists. I'm a junior talent agent. Now that is all done and said, today we're going to get into episode 18 of Run It Back, my music industry news podcast. And as per usual, we're going to start with reviewing some new music. I've been taking things a little bit of a different route. Before I was doing like primarily Orlando artists reviewing new Orlando music, which is great. But I've been kind of expanding my reach more, trying to find people on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Quadio, on a whole bunch of different platforms to submit their music. And so we've got a good batch of people who are very different, a lot of variety. And I'm excited to get straight into it. So first we have Courtney Mckenna, and just a heads up, once this is actually on my page as an IGTV, everyone will be tagged, so you will be able to find who they are. And if you're interested in actually listening to the music, everything as per usual is always tagged in my Instagram bio under Chapter 8 Run It Back news links. So go ahead and check everything out through there. So like I said, we have Courtney Mckenna with a song called Galaxies Collide. This is, as far as I know, solely on SoundCloud. So if you're someone who's very plugged into that platform, go ahead and give her a listen. It's a soft pop rock-esque type song, but I also heard like distinct Jason Mraz influences, which I thought was pretty interesting and pretty cool. I'm not a huge fan of how much autotune that you used. I'm a big believer that like if you're a singer, you either need to utilize autotune correctly or do not cover your voice up with it. I think it can be a little bit distracting, but it wasn't so overbearing that I couldn't enjoy the song. I really enjoyed the build up at the beginning. I got like super excited when the drums came in. I feel like build ups are usually my favorite part of music, especially when it comes to like jazz. But I like to see that in all types of music in general. So I got very excited once that came into play. I think that this would be a great song for like woodsy horror movies or any type of woodsy film or TV. Like that is the vibe that it gave me. Like I'm in the woods, either stranded or falling in love. Like either one, I feel like it could work. It had some really engaging production in there. I'm almost positive that you use live studio musicians, which is like something that I heavily appreciate. I think that your voice and the melodies mesh really well with the production that you chose. And I think that old rock heads would love this. I think that that's kind of the niche that you need to like be pushing towards in terms of your target audience and their children. People who grew up listening to rock music, who were like cute bad bitches, and then their dads, like that I feel like is who you need to focus on. All right, the next song I'm going to talk about is called Sleep Paralysis by Tate. It's a lo-fi beat with very chill rap vocals. I really enjoyed the editing of the video. Just a heads up, some of the links are videos, are music videos. I have loved being able to see people that I would never have seen their music videos be able to see the culmination of what they put together for this for their music. Like I said, I really enjoyed the editing in this video. It gave me a very like nostalgic and melancholy feel because of the filters that you used and the color palette within it. That I really appreciated that. I think that this is great background music, and I don't mean that in like a weird way, but kind of the way that it sounds. I think this is great music to study to. I think it's great music to clean to, like something in the background to give you some like relaxing energy. But if you listen to the lyrics, like it's not a necessarily a relaxing song in terms of the lyrics, but sonically that is what it was giving. I really enjoyed the hook, and I think that the main thing to change is just bringing some variety in terms of your flow. It can be really easy to lose people's attention like this day and age in music. So you have to make sure that you're making engaging music. And a big part of that is either you have to make sure that your lyrics are engaging, your flow and your melody is engaging, or the production has to be top notch and I should be hearing something different every 30 seconds. So either in one of those three categories, like just make sure that you are feeding your audience consistently so that you're keeping their attention. The next music video actually that I'm going to review is Water Run by Sophia Giuliani. And I could tell this girl's very young, and it made me so happy to see this. The cinematics, like, it's one of those things, and I say I think she was really young just because she looks young. the music was amazing, but it had like a teenage feel to it. And then the video itself, like I don't know how to describe it without like, it wasn't super high quality, but the quality in terms of the content and the message and the cinematics in it like blew me away. And it made me so happy to see like this young girl making dope ass music videos. Like it starts out with this black mannequin head who is kind of like the subject of the whole video. My girl's at the beach. Like these shots are great. But now let me get into the actual music. It is like soft pop R&B, which I can appreciate. Talking about the cinematics, I love that opening shot. Sophia has an extremely distinct voice, and I think that she should use that to her advantage, absolutely. And I really want to hear some slower stuff. This, because it's like that kind of like soft pop, bedroom pop thing, it's like a mid-tempo song, but I want to hear something like really slowed down because she has a very sultry, like rich voice that I think pairs really, really well with slower tempo music. And I want to hear that from her. But also when she hits these higher notes with a lot of intensity, like it really did something for me. And I had so much fun, but just watching this video. There's this one shot that I have to point out. It's like a puzzle piece shot where you're looking at the board of the puzzle put together and there's one missing piece at the edge and the shot is like her filling in that missing piece. And I was like, bitch, I don't know how old you are or what you were on, but like it was giving the whole time. I had so much fun watching it. But the main thing in terms of like critique or whatever you want to call it, I want to hear some more intricate production and some better sound quality. So that if you self-engineer, if you self-produce, that's something for you to take in. But if you work with other folks who do that for you, I would say start shopping people around to see who works with you best and who can give you the highest caliber of what you're doing, because your creativity and your voice is amazing. And I just want to hear the technical stuff kind of match that when it comes to the production and engineering. All right. The next song I'm going to talk about is called Being Real by Reaper. I'm going to put this in every single time that it happens. If you submit music to me and I go to either your YouTube or your Spotify and you have no social media linked anywhere there, I can't help you when it comes to the podcast. I can't like give you that direct platform where people can find you other than the link itself. And even then, when people are going to your links for music or they're going to your artist pages on DSPs and they cannot find you on social media or you don't have a website link, that makes it really difficult for people to follow up with you and actually become fans besides anything than listening to your music. And just being a listener is great, but you want people who are going to buy your merch. You want people who are going to follow you. You want people who are going to stay tapped in with you and actually be able to invest in your career more than a 0.001 stream. You know what I'm saying? So make those changes. Make sure that you're cross collateralizing your social media and anything that you're putting out there. But like I said, every time that happens, I'm going to say something about it. So Mr. Reaper, I'm sorry, but I cannot tag you. If you know who this is, please shout them out. Let me be able to give them their flowers. But yeah, that's that. Moving on about the song specifically, I really enjoyed the loading scene that you had in the beginning. This was more of a lyric video than anything. And just something on that. It's okay to start out with your cover art. Of course, there's not an issue with that. But the overlay of the text for the lyrics on top of your cover art was a little bit distracting. So I would just say, like, make sure in the editing process, okay, I'm going to start out with the cover art. I'm going to give it a couple seconds of either blankness or a different visual that's not going to clash with the text that I have on screen, and then move into that. Just because in terms of professionality, in terms of like the viewer and catching their attention in the right way, there's just a better way to do it. It all comes with time. But yeah, that's one of the main things that I wanted to talk about. I think this is 100% a car song. It's feel-good music. Another thing, you have a distinct voice, which is a huge superpower in my opinion, and I really enjoy your voice. I also really like your sound, and I think that you can kind of create your own lane with what you're doing. And I want some TikTok content to this song, like that feel good music, the car music, like that is the stuff that young folks eat up and that you can create and generate a lot of cool content around. So I would like to see that 100%. And also just props in general for having a lyric video is one of the things that I think is like a lost art on independent artists. It's simple, it's low cost, and it's content. So I just give you props for having that out there, and just want to also tell artists, like, please, it doesn't even have to be every one, but it could be every song that you have a lyric video out for. And like I said, it's low cost, it's easy to make, especially if you have any knowledge when it comes to literally iMovie or graphic design or anything like that. And it's content. It's something that you can do. It's something that you can do consistently, and it's another marketing piece for whatever piece of music that you're trying to push out there. So I definitely recommend for folks to just get back into it. And there's a lot of content that can also be like spurred from that, which I won't drown on talking about too long, because next, bitch, we have my favorite song of the week. Oh my gosh, it's called In My Dreams by Yansel April. Please go follow this chick. I heard this song and I was like, Lord have mercy. And she has a great catalog. She has a lot of other great music that you can listen to. This is a very funky R&B song. She has a beautiful, beautiful voice, and I like the way that she meshes it with the sound that she's created. She has great lyricism, and I think that this song is great for sync because there are very many ways to explore to exploit this song. It could be in coming age movies, it could be a different modern rom-coms, and it's definitely like it just gave me what I needed. And I want you guys to all listen to this song because, like I said, it's my favorite song of the week. I heavily enjoyed it, and that's probably biased because I love funk, I love R&B, I love neo soul. And it just gave me what I needed, and I was so happy to hear it. So moving on, we have Tightrope by Noble Abodoom, if I'm probably saying that incorrectly. This is a song that I personally believe needs a lot of work. And I think that your songwriting skills are way further along than the rest of what you have going on. So I would recommend to you to like start getting with some other people and write for them, because your writing is great. You have a couple issues with timing. You definitely need a better either mixing engineer, or if you do that yourself, like start studying your craft a little bit more. And I would like some more intense production. This song had a lot, like I said, great songwriting, and it had a lot of great melodies that could have been made even better by more of a build-up within production, and the production actually kind of showcasing your lyrics, your vocals, as well as the content of them. So that's the main thing, is just it's really all just about making things mesh. That's my biggest thing when it comes to this song, is that it could have been put together better, it could have meshed better in order to create an overall better final result. But like I said, I would really suggest for you to start working with some other artists on that songwriting tip, and move into that lane, because I think that would be a great lane for you to be in, and just continue working on your craft, bro. Just continue elevating. Next, we have Inch with Dry Heaving. I immediately liked this song. It reminded me of like my adolescent days when I was more into punk. And like indie rock and that kind of stuff. That is what it gives. The cover art, like I can see the brand name of everything, especially taking a look at your guys' Instagram. And I love that. It's super nostalgic for me. I love the guitar. I assume that you guys, like the band itself, you guys are all working together in order to record with live music, which I love. And I appreciated the effects on the vocals, because it is another part of the thing that creates like that grungy indie rock situation. But I want for the vocals to be more clear. Now, if what you're going for is something more muffled, because I know that it can be what it is, then go for it, stay with it. But I would just suggest keeping that effect, but trying to clear it out just a little bit more so that we can hear what you're saying. That's the biggest thing. But overall, I really enjoyed the song. It was really nostalgic for me. And like any of my friends from back, like in my skating days, this is something that you should listen to. I know that most of you would enjoy it. And go support these cats, because these are another band or artist that I think are a little bit younger. So go and show them that support. Next and finally, we have Daniel John with Bad Connection. Once again, every time that it happens, I'm going to say something about it. I am nice. If you send me an EP or if you send me an album, I will listen to the whole thing and I review all of it. But not everyone is like that. Not everyone has the time to. So if you want someone to listen to your album, if you want someone to listen to your EP, please send them one song, maybe two, maybe three. One is better though. Send them one song, say, I would love for you to listen to this and get your feedback on it. If they like it, they'll listen to the rest. But if you send someone a full album or a full EP, it's a little bit daunting. And that's the best way to put it. It's just a little bit daunting. It's a little overwhelming to look at a whole bunch of music for you to review in one time period when you're reviewing a lot of other people's stuff. So if you're ever in that situation where you want someone to listen to your full album, start with one song that you think is the best song on the album or that really encompasses the project. Send that out. If they like it, they will listen to more of it. And you have to just have faith in yourself and the music that you create in order to allow that to happen. This is a big strategy thing and just understanding how people work within this industry. But like I said, if I see it, I'm going to say it. But moving on, let me talk about this EP. Now, this is a five-song EP. It's giving very much Tory Lanez. It's giving very much Bryson Tiller, which I can appreciate. But whenever I hear this, especially from young male singers, my biggest challenge to you is do something different. I'm not saying it's bad. It's a great EP. I appreciated it. I think that the music of it is great, but I want to see something set you apart from this niche that is already filled. That's my overarching thing for this. Now, the first song is called All Eyes on Me. I think this is a really great start, a great intro, a great curation of the intro. I think it had a great message to it. Once again, you have a great voice, and I like this song specifically because it was engaging, and that's something that I'm always going to be looking for. The next song is My Way. This has more engaging production, which I appreciate, and I think this has a great hook. Then you have What About Me. I really like that you gave me a little bit of variety within the production. Actually, the last three songs really helped me in terms of variety within production and showing a little bit more of your versatility. But I want some more experimentation on your vocals. So you gave me some difference when it came to the production itself, but the vocals were very reminiscent of everything else that I had already heard. So I just want to hear that same difference, that same versatility in everything that you do. Next, we have Mixed Signals. Once again, I think this is a great hook. I think you have a knack for coming up with hooks, which is super important, and I love that. I would market this one very heavy because I think that it will do really well, and I think that there's a lot of opportunity for visuals within that, which is one of the reasons that I'm saying I think you should market it heavily. As I'm listening, I'm seeing stuff, and that's a great indicator that you should be putting either music videos together, promo videos, lyric videos that have some type of difference, TikToks, Instagram Reels, all of it. If I can see something through your music, you probably see something too, so bring that to life and show your audience. Don't Play With Me is also another great song, another great hook. Overall, like I said, this is a good EP. It's solid. I just want to see more. I want to see something more different. It just comes back to that experimentation, showing that versatility, and just give me just show me how you're different. That is across the board for every artist on the entire planet. Show me why you're different, because that is your selling point. Okay, so we're done reviewing music. Quick round of applause for everyone who submitted, because truthfully, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate being able to listen to your music. I appreciate being able to give you feedback. And it's a lot of fun for me just to kind of showcase you guys and give you a little something. So yeah, thank you guys for submitting. And please, all of you, go to the link in my bio where you'll find the news links. The last section of links is all of the music. So go ahead and listen to everything. All right, we're going to move on to the next section of the podcast, which is my likes. This is stuff that doesn't fit into my other categories that I have planned out, but stuff that I want to put in because I like it. That's that. So first we have Mary J. Blige, the legendary queen of hip hop, is nominated for the Best R&B and Pop Artist at the BET Awards, and she is always a trendsetter. One of the things about this article that I really appreciated is the focus of it were her boots. Her branded boots at this point. And they talk about wanting her to have a boot line. And I want to speak about this because it's about the exploitation of your brand and kind of being able to convert that into merchandise. So Mary J, our example for today, is known for wearing thigh-high boots in general that she popping, you know what I'm saying? She has the ability to exploit something that she's known for and actually make her own line or make boot covers or partner with a shoe company for her own line, something like that. And I'm sure she would make a lot of money off of it. It's branded perfectly. And it's a great way to, like I said, just going back to exploiting your brand in a way that is going to make you a lot of money, especially when it comes to merchandise. Something I've said before, but we'll go over it again. As an artist, you are the product, not your music. Your music is just another way that you can make money. Merchandise, touring, and licensing are those things that you want to hit the nail on the head in, because those are passive income. But especially with licensing and touring, those are things that you're cashing out on with very large amounts. So depending on how it goes, especially when it comes to touring specifically. So do your research and do your thing on that. But when it comes to licensing specifically, it's usually going to be a nice cash out at the beginning, and you're also going to be making residual income from that. When it comes to merch, as long as you have your fulfillment and your shipping process and your manufacturing in order and your marketing well, that is also another lane of passive income. All right. Next thing is that the UK Music Managers Forum's new report on the topic of digital burnout and the wider debate around pressures being placed in the music industry on artists. So this conversation had to do a lot with TikTok, which is something that I talk about a lot because of what it truly is. It is a game changer in the music industry, and it's something that people need to pay attention to, and that is why I do. And so the main reason that I wanted to talk about this and kind of bring this into the My Life session is because I want to talk about content batching and scheduling. So there's this connotation that TikTok is the hardest thing to do, that consistently posting content is the hardest thing to do, and that it's just all this pressure on artists. And I'm going to be extremely candid. You do what the fuck you have to do to make it in this industry. Okay, if you're an artist and you want this, you're going to put in the time to create the content. You're going to put in the time to create the plan to release it. And you're going to put in the time to do it consistently. If this is something that you want and you're understanding of the fact that this is something that you need to do, you're going to get it done. Point blank, period. Now, to make it easier, that's why I want to talk about content batching and scheduling. It doesn't have to be this crazy thing where you're making content every day and posting content every day. Take 2 days out of your week, it could be even one, to make a shitload of content. Then take the second half of that day or that second day to schedule all of it so that you don't have to focus on it. It's made, it's done, it's scheduled, the captions are there, whose tag needs to be tagged, the hashtags are there, all of these things. It's ready to go and it'll come out as it needs to. That's going to take a lot of weight off your shoulders, and it's going to free up a lot of time for you. So I just wanted to put that tidbit in there because I'm sick of hearing artists say that something is too much for them. If you want it, figure out a way to work smarter, not harder, and get it done, because you need to do it. There's no tiptoeing around it, and that's that. And that doesn't go for TikTok. That goes for all of your social media. You can do it on Instagram. You can do it on Facebook. You can do it on Twitter. Twitter is a little more. I appreciate that being more spur of the moment. But any social media that you have, point blank period, you should be content batching and scheduling, just so that you can make it easy on yourself and that you can stay consistent without getting that burnout. Okay, moving on. There was an article called Gimmicks in the Industry, which I thought was really interesting, and there's some stuff that I wanted to hone in on. So the first thing that they talk about is dual discs. So going back to the age of CDs, which it still is, if you've been keeping up with this podcast, you know that physical music is on the rise. But we are definitely in the age of digitization and streaming. But dual disc is essentially, instead of having the cover art on one side and having the music on the other, dual disc has music on both sides. It was a gimmick for a while. It didn't do very well because very soon after dual disc came out, Napster happened. But that is what it is. Next thing we talk about is payola. If you do not know what payola is, it is an illegal practice that a lot of radio stations do, which is paying for having your music being aired. Just so you know, they cannot do that. Are you going to get anywhere by like suing them or reporting them? Probably not. But they're not supposed to do that. It was come upon and decided upon quite a while ago, but it was a very common practice. And in my belief, payola is still the common practice of radio stations, even though they know they're not supposed to do it. But my suggestion to artists when working with radio stations is honestly, don't spend your money, because the way that I see it, if you're spending your money on something, first of all, it's like paying for playlisting. That's the best way to like put the analogy. If you pay for playlisting and you pay for radio play, which both are things that you're not supposed to do, there's no guarantee that actually anything is gonna come out of it. And that person is doing something they're not supposed to. You're doing something that you're not supposed to. So there's not a lot of ways to be held accountable within these situations. So I recommend taking the route of doing free submissions and building relationships. Build relationships with people at the radio station and get an interview and expound upon things in those ways. It'll probably help you out better in the long run, having a relationship with someone in that industry, opposed to just paying however much money that you're going to pay to do whatever you're going to do and still not necessarily having a guarantee. With that, I'm going to move on. If you couldn't tell, that was one of the main things that I wanted to hone in on, because I hate people who try to make money off artists in ways that they literally are not allowed to. But we're gonna move on. The next gimmick that they talk about is sponsored lyrics. I thought that this was really cool and just a fun thing to throw in there. So Run DMC dropped their legendary single My Adidas, and some rumors were spread that the band was paid to do it. But in reality, they really just love that shoe brand. But Adidas later on gave them a hefty sum for a sponsorship deal. In 2005, an article in Advertising Age revealed that McDonald's had an ongoing deal where if a rapper could integrate the phrase Big Mac into their lyrics, the company would pay the musician anywhere from $1 to $5 every time that verse got played on the radio. I think that that's really funny and really interesting. I don't know how often that currently happens in today's age, but I definitely think that there's a way to bring that back. And I just think that it's funny, but it's also pretty cool. And it just goes to show the way that artists can exploit their brand through other brands and doing partnerships and sponsorships and things like that. This is just another example of that kind of relationship. So next we have Music Business Worldwide founder Tim Ingham discussing the market share threat that the major record companies currently face on Spotify from DIY distribution platforms and the millions of independent artists they service. As music from these independent artists swamps streaming services, the majors' refusal to allow the music they distribute to fall under a certain perceived quality threshold limits their ability to compete on a volume/scale with the likes of DistroKid. So what this is talking about, majors for the most part have in-house distribution, especially if they're a subsidiary. They're going to be, or especially if they're a subsidiary of the big three, they're definitely going to be having in-house distribution. So what this is specifically talking about is the competition that their in-house distribution platforms or companies have with the likes of aggregators. So your aggregators are DistroKid, TuneCore, which I'm super excited to talk about in a minute. But are those DistroKids, those TuneCores, CD Babies, blah, blah, blah. And they're talking about the inability to compete with aggregators who are funneling to Spotify alone 40,000 songs a day. So you're talking about a huge mass of quantity of folks who are utilizing a platform and paying for it, opposed to a distribution platform or that is in-house for labels that just literally has no way to have that reach in terms of consumers using the distribution platforms. And this article is just talking about that competition and the fact that if majors want to compete with aggregators, they need to open up their services to DIY indie artists. I think I think that's the smart route, because then we talk about things like upcycling, we talk about A&Ring in these worlds, and in my opinion, that I think that's one of the best practices. You have your major in-house distribution, and then you have A&Rs who are working there and funneling through thousands of artists every single day who are releasing stuff. That is a great strategy in terms of A&R practices, instead of just utilizing social media and traditional scouting tactics. But then that goes back to one of the sentences in here that I'm gonna restate. They distribute to fall under a certain perceived quality threshold. They don't want to have indie artists be in their inner circle. That's where this comes down to, and it's fucking up their market share and it's fucking up their money. So honestly, let them do it. Stay with your aggregator. We're going to talk about TuneCore in a little bit. I'm really excited for the updates that have been going on. But yeah, that's one of the stories for today. Almost finally within the My Like section, in March of 2021, Spotify launched Equal, a global music program as a part of its commitment to advancing gender equity in music. The initiative aims to celebrate women pushing the envelope and inspiring the next generation of artists, producers, and executives. Each month, Spotify names an Equal ambassador. Damn, that sounded weird. Equal ambassador to honor game changers across the country, as well as curates 35 Equal local genre-specific and themed playlists highlighting women artists globally. I wanted to bring this up because, first of all, it's a great thing. I love it. They're talking about the launch of this in March and kind of the continuation of it over the months. But during my time at Music Biz, one of the panels that I made sure that I was able to sit in on was the Spotify Dsp Workshop. When I tell you, there are so many programs similar to Equal within Spotify to help artists. It blew my mind because I didn't know about them, which I think is two sides of the same coin, right? So first of all, you have to be actually serious about it and begin doing your research in order to find them. But the exclusivity, I don't know if I like it or not. I'm still toying with that. But the point is that there's a lot of opportunity with them out there. So please go do research on the programs that Spotify has for artists. You may be able to fit the categories that they're looking for, and they may be able to help you out along your journey. Because to put it quite simply, Spotify has to do a lot in terms of PR in order to combat the fact that most musicians on their platform don't make any money. So they have to do stuff to kind of make up for that. So make sure that you're looking into what they're doing to make up for that, and hopefully you can be a part of it. Okay, final thing we're going to talk about, in this section, I posted about it on my story, and I think it's an important thing to talk about. So Rolling Stones came out with its top 200 rap albums of all time, and there's a lot of backlash around it, and as you look further into it, this list was put together by a lot of white people, and I think that's where most of the issues stem from. Some people agree with the list, some people don't. I don't really have an opinion on it. I think there's some great music in there. I think a lot of great music was left out. But one of the reasons that like ranking music is so hard is because everyone has a different opinion. That top 200 is that top 200 for that group of people. I don't think that there's like a definitive top anything, because music and art is subjective. So everyone is going to have a different opinion on it. I just really want to hone in on the fact of who is making these decisions for these communities, right? So as we all know, it's not a secret that hip hop and urban music in general comes from Black culture, is driven by Black culture, and is Black culture, period. So to have a bunch of white folks be kind of weighing in on who is the best and what is the best does not sit right in my spirit, and doesn't sit right in a lot of people's spirits, and is one of the reasons why there's a lot of big pushes for just DIE and inclusivity within the industry, because there's definitely plenty of people who have the caliber of expertise to be on the culture, their culture board. But they're not on there, and they should be. So that is mainly what I wanted to talk about this, opposed to like who's actually on the list and if I agree with it or not. Because to be honest, like I said, it's all subjective. I don't really have an opinion on that. I do have an opinion on who's making these decisions and pushing them out to the world. So I think it opens a broader conversation. Feel free to, put your opinions in the comments if you think the list was good, if you think it sucked, how you feel about their culture board and things like that. Because I do think it's an important conversation, and that's why I wanted to put it in there. So now we're going to talk about industry updates, arguably the most important section of this podcast. So the new hashtag halt cuts to PRSF efforts come after PRS for Music announced recently that it will reduce its annual donations to the charitable PRS Foundation by 60%. That's a lot of money, and that's a big percentage. So people are extremely upset. And it has been described as a potentially devastating decision. As the principal patron of the PRS Foundation, PRS for Music has contributed significantly towards making the music industry more accessible, more equitable, and more creative and more profitable for the last 22 years. So to break that down for you, the PRS is the Performance Rights Society, and as we spoke on, this is in Europe, specifically in the UK. And the For the Music sector, so PRS for Music, is a British music copyright collective made up of two collection societies, the Mechanical Copyright Society, as well as the Copyright Collective. So this to me sounds like people, subsidiaries, like not wanting to give more money. Being from the UK is not, or this story being from the UK is not something that I have a total grasp on, but I do think it's important for us to being folks who are in the US, knowing about different updates that are happening overseas, because it does all affect each other. And I think it's insightful, right? So we have performance rights societies and copyright societies not giving each other money in a way that they used to, which prior was allowing a lot more funding in order to make the industry more accessible. So people are upset about it because cutting back that funding is giving people the idea that the industry isn't going to be as accessible anymore. And I can see where that would come into play. I'm sure that we'll see some more advancements within this story within the next couple of weeks. But I just wanted to put it in there. I think it's something that is important to speak on. The next thing is that SoundCloud has named Jennifer Caserta as its new head of people, part of the company's executive leadership team. Caserta is responsible for developing and executing the human resources strategy to support the overall business and direction of the organization. Next, there is the planned successions happening at Warner Music Nashville. They're extending the publicity team as one veteran of Nashville PR specialist, Font Lynch, joins the label to move on to the top role in that department, while another long-established publicity figure, Wes Voss, steps out of his longtime labor role to set up his own shingle. Lynch will join Warner Nashville as Senior VP of Publicity on June 13th, tomorrow actually, reporting to Ben Klein, who just got upped to co-president. Lynch had recently been in multiple roles operating his own PR company while serving at Red Light Management as an artist manager and part of the marketing team. Prior to Red Light Management, Lynch had done publicity at Sony and ran PR for Universal Music's Lost Highway label. Big resume, doing big things. I love it. So I have some questions here. Do you have a link to that article to share? I'm dealing with PRS on some projects right now. Yeah, so every single week for this podcast, all of the links to these stories are in my Instagram bio. So you want to go to my Instagram bio, and then you'll see a page that says Run It Back News Links, Chapter 18. If you just go ahead and click on those, you'll be able to find every every link to everything that I'm talking about today. It's more separated into the days than it is the actual categories. So you may have to be doing like a little bit of sifting to find what it is. But I'm glad that you guys have to do the work, because I do a lot of work for this. So let's make it reciprocal. Okay, moving on. Activist Artist Management has announced an expansion to Asia. The activist roster includes such acts as the Lumineers, Alec Benjamin, Empire of the Sun, Grateful Dead, Bob Weir, Dwight Yoakam, Brittany Spencer, and Michael Franti, along with Spearhead, along with other entertainment brands and companies like All Elite Wrestling and Lion Forge Animation. Its clients extend to film and television as well, with actors Watanabe, boom, and David Allen Greer are also represented. All right, next up we have widely respected executive Juan Paz has joined Apple Music as its new global head of Latin music business. Miami-based Paz was previously at Warner Music Group's managing director for the ABA Latin America and Iberia sector. We have Wes Jackson, a music business entrepreneur, will be the next president of BRIC, the non-for-profit arts organization, and this was announced Tuesday of this past week. Research from DatAxis predicts that Africa's annual music streaming revenues will grow from $92.9 million in 2021 to $314.6 million by 2026, while warning that internet penetration rates will maintain ceiling on this growth. So basically what they're saying is that the advancements in technology in Africa, which I don't even like, the advancements in technology in Africa will kind of be the thing that's contingent on the growth of the music industry in that region. But this is good news, and it's kind of just a culmination of things that we've known before. India, or just Asia in general, Asia, Africa, and the Latin sector are the largest growing sectors of the music industry. So if you fit into any of those categories in terms of the music that you make, exploit that. But like I said, this is more of a culmination of things that we know and just kind of putting numbers to things. Moving on. This month, the Copyright Royalty Board, the organization that sets mechanical royalty rates in the U.S., announced an agreement between the major labels, music publishers, and songwriters to raise the mechanical royalty rate for product sales from 9.1 cents per copy to 12 cents per copy. That is a 32% increase. And just to give you some backstory or background, mechanical royalties are earned through the reproduction of copyrighted work. So technically on your DSPs, you are collecting mechanical royalties every time that a song is streamed. So make sure that you're licensing either with Harry Fox or with the MLC so that you're collecting those royalties. But this is a great thing to hear, that we're hearing some progress in terms of increasing royalty rates in any sector that we can. It's a win. So I'm glad that we have that 32% increase, and hopefully we'll be able to see that across more across the other different royalties that come into play. Next up, UMG, which rolled out the revamped Virgin Music label and artist services back in February, unveiled the new and improved division's expansion to Africa today. The development arrives amid rapid music industry growth throughout the continent, with over 1.3 billion individuals, including an especially significant boost in North Africa. So I'm glad that this is in here, because it guys gives more insight on what's happening with those numbers that we talked about in terms of growth within Africa. We've already seen a lot of companies expanding their companies and what they have going on to different continents, specifically in China, Africa, or specifically in Asia, Africa, and the Latin markets. So it's just funny to me that we have these two stories that coincide with each other pretty well. But once again, pay attention. People don't do things for no reason. These numbers matter, and people make decisions off of them. It's a big deal to not necessarily uproot your company, but expand in such a large way based off of numbers. That's why we do things. Alrighty, moving on. Top executives will come together at VidCon 2022 for a discussion on the ever-changing landscape of TikTok's role in the music industry. Joining the panel are Barbara Jones, Charlie Salvatore, Johnny Clo Hardy, And they will all be talking about the ins and outs of the crossroads of content creators and musicians. The panel will be moderated by Jacqueline D. Carter. You can find out like who these people are and more information about that once again if you go to the link in my bio. But I think this is important. I think it's cool to talk about, and something I want to hone in on is the ins and outs of the crossroads between content creators and musicians. In my opinion, first of all, it's kind of, to me, it's similar to like to the music and the film industry, where they need each other to thrive, especially on TikTok. If you're a content creator, you need music. And if you're a musician, you need people to make content with your music. But it's also musicians and independent artists need to be content creators. They need to be influencers within this age of the industry. And I think that's really important to hone in and touch on. It's a necessary thing. So please start getting into a content-oriented state of mind as an independent artist, and do what you can to build your brand on these platforms, build your audience, and kind of shift into that lane. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of similarities within the things that you can do, because at the end of the day, to reiterate, as a musician, your music is not the product. You are. The music is just another stream of income. So if you think about that in terms of being an influencer, that the influencer is the product. There's just different ways that they can make income off of their brand. So I'm going to move on. I don't want to bore everyone. The next thing we're going to talk about is Chief Keef announcing that he's going to launch his new label, 43B, in partnership with RBC Records /BMG. This is my favorite story, y'all. The next one is my favorite story, and it makes me so happy. I'm super excited about it. TuneCore did something revolutionary this past, I would say, probably week or 2 weeks, with completely changing their entire setup of pay. So what they did, firstly, is they were like, oh, DistroKid, they're doing yearly stuff for unlimited. Yeah, let me hop on that wave, because I know a lot of people are exploiting that and utilizing that. So TuneCore did that, but they did something, like I said, this is absolutely revolutionary. They have a new artist plan, though. So there's tiers to this, right? Like most subscription plans, but this is yearly. Their new artist plan offers artists unlimited release of songs through different music libraries, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, as well as DSPs. And get this, for free. I'm just going to give that some time to settle. You can release music, unlimited amounts of music for free to DSPs, to music libraries, and still collect 80% of the income that you make from it, coming directly from DSPs, because you have different royalties that you collect all of it, because TuneCore doesn't own your copyright. That is revolutionary. I am amazed. I'm stunned by it. It's something that makes me super, super happy. And if I have a recommendation for any new artists out there who do not have a large budget when it comes to distribution and marketing, get on this new artist platform in terms of TuneCore and release your music for free. Do it, get it done, and exploit it in terms of marketing in different ways. So now we're going to talk about the other tiers that they have set up, which I think are still extremely reasonable and affordable when we're talking about yearly plans. There is the Rising Artist Plan, which is $14.99 a year. This also has everything in that first new artist plan. So distribution, not only to DSPs, but to different social platform libraries. But you also have the ability to have pre-scheduled release dates. You have official verification on your artist platforms. And it promises to have a response time for artist support within 72 hours. The next one that we have is the Breakout Artist Plan, which costs $29.99 a year. This has free access to TuneCore's Automator feature, which ensures distribution of an act's musical additional streaming and digital stores that launch or will become available in the future. So what this is saying is that if you have this plan and you release your music, so you're going to release it to the DSPs that are available now. But what TuneCore is going to do is if there's any new platforms that are coming up or any new sectors of platforms that are coming up, they're going to ensure that your music is also on there without you having to do any work. I think that is amazing. But this tier will also offer downloadable reports plus a guaranteed artist report response within 48 hours. We're going to talk about the final plan, which is honestly, I think everyone should just get this plan. It's $50 a month. And of course, just to put it out there, do research on what you want to do. Make your own comparisons. I am just super happy about this because, like I said, I think this is a revolutionary thing. The fact that you can release music for free, unlimited, and still be able to have like an actual suite. I think that that's amazing. Anyways, the professional plan, which is priced at $49.99 a year. And I want to reiterate, these are not monthly prices. These are yearly prices to be able to utilize all of these facilities and be able to distribute unlimited music. I'm just very happy about this because this is one of those things where it's like, this is how you create good shit for the people who make this industry run, which, yes, we all have a part, but without the artists, there is nothing. So it just makes me happy to see. Anyways, this professional plan, like I said, is $49.99 per year, and is designed for labels and managers, as well as artists who are more advanced in their careers and would benefit for a more sophisticated release feature. The professional plan includes everything that we heard before, as well as the use of your own UPC codes, which is really cool, I believe, being able to upload those into your platform. Along with a custom label name, access to select country restrictions, exclusive partnerships, and promotional opportunities. So this plan is essentially a built-in upstreaming platform, which I think is great. It is kind of reminding me of Music Gateway in terms of them being able to submit to different licensing opportunities. That is what it's giving me, and I think it's great. This plan also lets TuneCore users add additional artist profiles to their accounts for $14.99 per year. TuneCore promises a support response time of within 24 hours for folks who have this professional plan. So I really want to hone in on the fact, like I said, this is also built for managers and labels. I think it's great that you can have one account that houses all of your artists, and all you have to do is just pay for one other. And what was the price? Let me see for this. So you would essentially be paying $14.99 for a rising artist plan per person but they are getting the professional plan. I think that's great. I think it's very useful. Myself being a manager who has to go in and out of all these different royalty collectors, distributors, and have all these different accounts, I know that this would make my life so much easier. And that's why I see so much value in it. And I'm just as you can see, this is probably my favorite story of the week. I just appreciate seeing things that truly benefit artists when it comes to cost, when it comes to accessibility. And I'm just happy about it. So go do your research on it, figure out what is best for you, and make that decision. All right. Some big players of the music industry, such as online gaming platforms, have already explored the beneficial effects of music and sound effects. While playing, for example, Slingo casino games, the user will not only be entertained by the game mechanic, but will also be able to fully immerse in the atmosphere of the game, all thanks to musical accompaniment. The internet has democratized music in many ways we haven't seen before, and it's always renewing itself. So this article, we're specifically talking about how gaming and music are kind of having this revolution. Now, this is something that in my opinion, is not a new thing. This is really just more about expansion. And the main thing I'm going to say about this is that entertainment is an ecosystem. So we all have our different things that we do, but we all need each other. In gaming, and especially when it comes to music, everything needs music. Everything visual needs music. And as musicians, we need to be or not necessarily just musicians, but as people who are a part of the music industry, we need to be working with all these sectors to continue to exploit the stuff that we make and make more money. Period. Point blank. But yeah, just something to speak on. And specifically with games, the world is opening more up to it. Like I said, it's not necessarily about new things, but just further expansion of them. All right. Next thing is the Recording Academy is adding new categories for things like video game music, Songwriter of the Year, plus a special merit award for the best song for social change,
The Academy CEO says the number of categories isn't that important, but after handing out Grammys in 86 competitive categories this year, 91 could possibly be seen for next year. Cool stuff. We have one story for Web3, a platform called Another Block that lets fans invest in music by buying NFTs, has raised $2.5 million in a new round of funding. This is just consistent stuff. Considering the market of NFTs and how things are going right now, things are going to take time until they really blow up to what they could. But I was talking about this the other day, and the reason that I always stay up to date with Web3 and NFTs and things like that is because I see the value that it has for the music industry. For everything else, I don't know so much. But when it comes to music artists, when it comes to fandoms, when it comes to dedicated audiences, they will buy anything. Okay, so let's say you have a true fangirl, a true fanboy, someone who is truly obsessed with an artist. If they put out a $10,000 NFT, $10,000 NFT, someone is going to buy it because of how much they love that person. That is what I hone in on when it comes to NFTs and Web3, is the connection that the artist has with their audience. And that's why creating such strong connections are so important. But also the existence of them is what allows for these things to be viable. No matter what it is, it just goes back to that concept. If someone loves you, if someone supports you and is willing to spend their hard-earned cash, it doesn't necessarily matter what you put in front of their face. Of course, you want to give them high-quality stuff. You want to satisfy them. But if they want that NFT and it's $10,000, they want that NFT and it's $10,000. Now, it's something that we can also talk about is the resale value of it, which I think also there's a certain exclusivity in terms of music that it's similar to like a baseball jersey. It's something that is stamped by fame, and that is one of the things that gives it value. So yeah, that's my little tidbit on that. But now we're gonna move on. We have some more stories here, but we're closing out pretty soon. So next we're gonna be talking about deals, partnerships, and acquisitions. Julian Casablancas, frontman and main songwriter of The Strokes, has sold a stake in his renowned Strokes catalog to Primary Wave. We have Beyond Music, an investment and management company focusing on music IP aggregation, has established itself as Asia's largest single music IP asset management company by signing an asset transfer contract of the entire volume of music neighboring copyrights owned by the Interpark Music Business Department. Finally, Universal Music Group has licensed its catalog of titles to a company that uses artificial intelligence to choose music aimed at people suffering from dementia to regain some cognitive abilities. All right. We have one artist accomplishment this week. Rotimi has jumped the broom on Billboard's adult R&B airplay chart with the song I Do. The current single from his debut album, All or Nothing, has moved to number 10 in its 25th chart week. It marks his first appearance on the top 10 of this chart. I want to hone in on the difference that we've come into in how important the lapse of time is as you release. So the first week used to be like the thing that showed where is this song gonna go. First week of release, if you're not in this chart or that chart, or if you're not number one, it's gonna be real difficult to get in there, and there's no chance of it. And of course, there are people who break through the cracks, and there are exceptions. But in the age of the internet, and especially when we talk about virality and TikTok, that shit don't matter anymore. Your song, you could release it 10 years ago. Like Kate Bush, and licensing has something to do with this as well. But I'll use Kate Bush as an example. A lot of her music went viral on TikTok. It was released, 20, 30 years ago, and she is now having a resurgence in that music and making a lot of money from it. Now, that all has to do with virality. So if you have a song and you release it this person, we're talking about their 25th week. So it's really not even that long. But as I said, if we go in the past, that's a long time, and it would, it would probably have stayed where it was on those charts. But in terms of virality, if you release a song a year ago, it don't matter. All that matters is when it picks up traction. And because we live in this age where it's just kind of like you put shit out there, you put money into it. Depending on where and when it picks up is where and when it picks up. And it doesn't necessarily matter that it was released a year ago, because guess what? You now have a whole bunch of eyes on it. You're now seeing a whole bunch of royalty revenue. And because there are so many eyes and you're picking up this traction, there's probably going to be abilities for licensing and things like that as well. And just expansion of your career. So I wanted to touch on that. I think it's important to talk about. And yeah. Next, we're going to talk about some viewer opportunities in education. Like I said, we're closing it on the end. This is the second to last section. So Cadence Weapon's new book, Bedroom Rapper, Cadence Weapon on Hip-Hop Resistance and Surviving the Industry, is on the Pemberton charts, his path through the music industry. He joins Globe Associate Arts Director Aruna Dutt for a conversation on creativity in the pandemic and emerging with a new album and now a new book to live audiences. I think it sounds like an interesting book. The story within it, I think, would be interesting. So if you are a reader, I suggest either if you work in the industry, you need to be a reader. But as an artist, I definitely recommend pick up some books about whether they either just be memoirs about the industry or those educational and informational things. Start making a habit of reading these things and beginning to enjoy them. I personally believe one of the reasons I put this in is I think it can be informational, but I also think that it will be an interesting read for independent artists, because you are hearing this artist's story. And that, yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. So we have some job openings as well. UMG is looking for a licensing executive. Spotify is looking for a music business development manager. Pius is looking for a national publicity manager. And Punk Defunk is looking for a day-to-day artist manager. Once again, all of these links for these job openings, the descriptions and ways to apply are in the link in my bio under the section that says chapter or episode 18 news links. So go ahead and take a look at those for you on Instagram. If you're on YouTube, everything is in the description. So just look and find for it. Click, see what you need, decipher. Boom, bada bing, bada bow. We do have a death to speak on this week. We haven't had much that have been in the papers or in the news recently, but English-born rock music drummer and songwriter Alan White died May 26th at his home near Seattle, Washington, at the age of 72. While he worked with many artists along his career, including John Lennon, George Harrison, Eric Clapton, Joe Cocker, and Ginger Baker, White was best known as the drummer for the progressive rock band Yes, with whom he played for nearly 50 years. If you haven't seen the podcast before or seen this section of it, if I see that someone has passed in the industry, in the week that I'm doing my research, I will put it in there because I do believe that we kind of have to pay respect for the people who paved the way before us. I think that it's kind of necessary. And yeah, so thank you guys for listening. That is the end of the episode this week. Just to give you guys some updates, tomorrow I'm going to be co-hosting a music industry talk show. So I'll be able to post some links about that tomorrow. I'm going to be doing some interviews, saying my piece, as well as doing a mini news segment on my favorite news stories of this week. I have my music business book club coming up. We're going to be talking about chapter 6 of All You Need to Know About the Music Industry by Donald S. Passman, which is all about agents, which is great for me as a junior talent agent to be kind of talking about these things. So yeah, stay tuned in. There's a lot of cool stuff coming up. I'm also going to plug Falaire, one of my artists, is having a show this Saturday coming up. So June 18th, we're going to be at Oviedo Mall at Penguin Point. Definitely be there, be square. We have an amazing lineup for you guys. My very first client ever is coming all the way from North Carolina to help us with this. So yeah, just stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good rest of your Sunday. I'm going to start, as per usual, by closing off my live stream on YouTube. So bye, you guys. And now I'm going to say goodbye to you.